Well, 16-year-olds cannot join the military. They can't smoke cigarettes. They can't independently consent to medical procedures. They can't even see R-rated movies without their parents' approval. Why? Because they're children. They're not adults. All of our laws reflect that reality. And yet suddenly, Democrats are deeply interested in giving these children the vote. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi endorsed that idea last week. Watch.
I myself have always been for lowering the voting age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, when they're interested in all of this, when they're learning about government, to be able to vote.
It's really important to capture kids while they're in high school, she said. Let me repeat that. It's really important to capture kids while they're in high school. Kind of tells you everything, doesn't it? But while we're doing it, why would we stop at 16? Why not 14? How about 12? Why don't we give toddlers a ballot and have them vote for whoever they want with finger paint? I mean, you know what I mean? As long as we're rethinking the norms, why not? Rashad Richey is a radio host and former political director of the Democratic Party of Georgia, and he joins us tonight. Mr. Richey, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So I guess that is kind of a fair question, like why 16? Why not 13? Why not 8, honestly?
Well, let me go back to your original point. You said that this is a Democratic issue, a Nancy Pelosi-driven agenda, and it's not. That would be news to Republicans like Mike Burgess, a Republican congressman out of the state of Texas. In addition to that, let's talk about what 16 means.
I don't want to interrupt,
but
wait, I'm confused. I've never heard of Mike Burgess, and no offense to Mr. Burgess, but you're citing a Republican member of Congress who wants 16-year-olds to vote?
Correct. Mike Burgess, do the research.
Okay.
Mike Burgess.
Okay, I've never heard of that. I mean, look, I'm not a
2018.
partisan guy, actually. I like to assess the ideas on their own terms, and the idea is insane, no matter who's for it. So why is it not insane?
Let's talk about the idea.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the idea. 16-year-olds have the right to drive, they have the ability to work, and they pay taxes. In 1971, Tucker, we had this discussion in 1971 as a country. We changed the age then from 21 to 18. That was actually a very popular Republican agenda, signed even by Nixon ceremonially. Okay, let's talk about that.
So you're for Nixon
signed
now?
by Nixon.
Okay.
Say that again?
You're for Nixon now?
No, what I'm for is the idea, the discussion of the fact that we moved it from 21 to 18 for a reason. What was the reason we moved it, Tucker?
Okay, but we didn't.
Do you want to hear the reason we moved it to 18?
No, I know. I'm familiar with the constitutional amendment. I'm just wondering. 18 is not 16. We didn't go to 16, and we didn't because 16-year-olds are children,
give me the
and children shouldn't.
Give me the opportunity.
Okay,
but just
hit me with the core. Hit me with the core argument here.
Okay, here's the core. We did it for 18-year-olds because they could pay taxes, they could work, and that was the legal working status or age in the United States of America. Now the legal working status or age in the United States is 16 years old. They actually pay taxes. This is literally taxation with zero representation.
So
and Tucker, we already allow 16-year-olds to vote in places like Tacoma Park, Maryland.
But Tacoma Park, Maryland is like a sad little lunatic place. Look, I live near Tacoma Park,
Maryland.
You
call the people of Tacoma Park lunatics? Are you kidding me?
They let illegal aliens vote. I mean, whatever. It's a boutique little rich person town.
They do not allow illegal aliens to vote.
Actually, they do. Actually, I live here. Trust me, they do. But let me just ask you very quick. If they can vote, which is, I think, the most important civic duty there is, why aren't they serving in wars? And why can't they buy guns?
Well, they don't have the right to do so. And remember, our allied nations, most of our allied nations, because they don't have the right to do so. Like some states, you have to be 21 to purchase a gun.
But why?
Wait a
second. Wait a second. If you're
telling you, I'm giving you the answer. We roll in rights, Tucker. At 16 years old, you don't have the right to bear arms. Some states allow you to bear arms at 18. Other states allow you to bear it at 21.
You're filibustering me, but you're not answering the question.
I'm not filibustering.
I'm aware that they're not allowed to.
Rights. That's how it works in this country.
How can you?
It's a good ideas debate.
Okay. How can you advocate for 16-year-olds choosing the president, choosing the government we live under, but not being allowed to buy guns or serve in the military? How does that work?
Because I can advocate for the fact that they can pay taxes in the United States of America. They can
why can't they buy
restrictions in the United States. Well, that's a law issue per state.
But should they be allowed to buy a gun? Should a 16-year-old be allowed to buy a gun?
I think a 16-year-old should be allowed to vote. Period.
No, but to buy a gun.
Because they actually pay taxes.
Well, I know okay, so you pay taxes. Why can't you buy a gun?
I just answered your question, Tucker. I think they have the right to vote. They should have the right to vote, not to buy a gun, because I'm not a guy who wants everybody to run around with guns.
But you let people
Say that
run around
again,
with
Tucker.
votes, but not guns. You just want to capture them when they're young.
I really think it's great for a 16-year-old to participate in the civic process. Also, Tucker, if you look at the research that has been done, 16
Are you acknowledging this as a hilarious conversation, or am I the only one who's enjoying it?
Tucker, let's come back. Let's anchor yourself. 16 to 21-year-olds, according to the research, have the same body of civic information. So if you're saying you oppose 16-year-olds having the right, Tucker, I'm really not for 18 or 21-year-olds having guns that don't know how to use them. So that's a deflecting argument.
It would be hard to overstate how much I'm enjoying this.
16-year-olds have the right to vote if they're paying taxes.
They're telling me I got to go. Rashad, it's great to see you tonight. Thank you very much for that.
Same here. Thank you, Tucker.